Welcome to the Motorbike Racing Show for Thursday, the 7th of March, 2024. I'm Greg Haynes, and welcome also to the MotoGP World Championship season of 2024. Coming up on tonight's show, we'll be putting Pol Espargaro through his television paces.
It's not easy, my goodness.
And there's all the latest news from the paddock in Doha on this Thursday, as well as the rest of the motorcycle racing world, including some big announcements from British Superbikes. Follow the podcast on Greg Haynes TV on social media and on your favourite platforms. Well, this is it then. MotoGP 75th anniversary season is go in just a few hours' time as Friday practice gets underway at Losail in Qatar. 777 points, 777, are available between Qatar this weekend and Valencia in mid-November. We'll get the news first of all, and then we'll be joined by Pol Espargaro to discuss his new role as a television pundit in Spain. First of all, then, the news and some sad news to kick off. Lincoln Duarte, the former president of the Brazilian Motorcycling Federation, the CBM, between 1995 and 2007, has died. He served as head of several motorcycling federations and unions during his lifetime and played a key role in taking numerous MXGP events to Brazil. In an FIM press release, it reads, "On behalf of FIM President George Viegas, we extend our deepest condolences to Lincoln's family, his many friends, and the CBM. He will be sorely missed by the entire FIM family." MotoGP has partnered with TNT Sports in the USA. For the first time in a new partnership between TNT and Dorna, the commercial rights holder of MotoGP, American viewers can watch each MotoGP sprint and Grand Prix live on TV and online. The whole TNT coverage, including all of the pre-race shows, will be available in the States through True TV and Max's BR Sports add-on, including the post-race shows. Max's BR Sports add-on will also stream every session for the GP classes from Friday to Sunday. Big changes have been made and just announced in Qatar in the last few hours to the controversial tyre pressure rules. Breaching the rules can no longer result in disqualification from a race, but a more sturdy time penalty. As explained by MotoGP.com, an infringement in the sprint will now bring you a time penalty of 8 seconds, and that would double for the full-length Grand Prix to 16 seconds. Last year, it was first a warning and then penalties of 3, 6 and 9 seconds as the offences accumulated. Not just that, but Michelin has reduced the minimum mandatory pressure from 1.88 to 1.80 bar. The riders have welcomed this lower tyre pressure, saying it's going to make life much easier. Franco Morbidelli has received the all-clear from the MotoGP medical team to compete in Qatar, having been knocked unconscious when he crashed a road-going Ducati Panigale V4R in Portimao back in January. That means his first run out on this year's Pramac Ducati GP24 will be free practice in Doha tomorrow. Talk about an uphill struggle then. Fabio Quartararo is keeping his options open, having been chatting earlier on with the media, stating he's not yet started any proper talks with current employers Yamaha, with whom he won his first world title 3 years ago. Elsewhere, the entry list is out for this year's Junior GP Series. That's the Moto3 Junior World Championship. There's 36 full-time riders, including 2 from Great Britain, and they're both riding for Michael Laverty with MLav Racing. 17-year-old Eddie O'Shea, who is 10th overall last year, and 16-year-old Evan Belford, who makes his debut as the reigning British Talent Cup champion and also brings with him European Talent Cup experience. Both of them on Honda machinery. The whole field now in Junior GP is on Pirelli tyres, having switched from Dunlop, just as they have done in the Moto2 and Moto3 World Championships. And now that big news I mentioned from British Superbikes. Firstly, PBM are back. It's official. Twins Jordan and Frank Bird, daughter and son of the late Paul Bird, with their grandfather, have kept the team alive and head into 2024 with one rider, one bike. It's Glenn Irwin. PBM as a team have 138 wins and 98 pole positions in BSB to their name. And finally, Leon Haslam has confirmed that he's on the grid with the newly formed Rocket Haslam Racing BMW Motorrad team. Can the 2018 champion challenge for a second title? Well, plenty of news then from British Superbikes. Fantastic that Haslam's back, and particularly great that PBM continue on the grid, because there's been so much doubt for those of you who don't follow BSB over the last few months. They won the title 1 and 2 with Tommy Bridewell and Glenn Irwin last season. Tommy's now gone to Honda. Glenn, as I've just said, he's staying with PBM. So brilliant news that they're staying on the grid then, and the legendary name continues. Nice to see the Junior GP entry list out as well, and good luck to MLAV Racing with O'Shea and with Belford. And I think it's good news, isn't it, that they've sorted out this tyre pressure situation to some extent by changing the minimum pressure there. The riders seeming very pleased with that. So we're going to get to Pol Espargaro in a second, but there's the small matter of our soap opera moment of the week. I was actually struggling to get my words out for a second there. Soap opera moment of the week is barely believable. It is that a goat has appeared in the MotoGP paddock. I repeat, a goat has appeared in the MotoGP paddock. Now this, of course, all to do with GOAT, greatest of all time, and I do believe it was down to a friend of mine, Christian Massa, with whom I used to work at Dorna, who is now the press officer for the Gresini Ducati team, with Alex and notably Marc Marquez this year as well. Of course, they've celebrated victories there as a team before, haven't they, in Qatar, with Bastianini, and also, of course, at the end of last season with Fabio Di Gianantonio. But I messaged Christian Massa earlier on and I said, was that your idea by any chance? And he said he was very disappointed with me that I even would have doubted that it wasn't his idea. So an actual goat was taken into the Losail paddock and pit lane earlier on today. And that, without any doubt at all, is our soap opera moment of the week. I'm sure that would have been a nice surprise for Pol Espargaro. Now, Pol, of course, isn't racing this year. We await to see any news. We've had KTM hinting earlier on today, actually, about Dani Pedrosa's first wild card of the season. Remember how well he went last year at Jerez and also Misano. Pol stays on in the KTM family as their tester for KTM and also for GasGas, but he's also joined DAZN, which is the Spanish broadcaster for MotoGP. He's going to be on site at all the rounds. There's a lot for him to get through, and we're going to be putting him through his paces, as you heard at the top of the show, a little bit later on. But he's a great guy, was world champion in Moto2, of course, back in 2013. So here he is on the Motorbike Racing Show exclusively. It's Pol Espargaro.
It's his 6th win of the season. It's the most important of his career. He has won here in Japan, and he is the 2013 Moto2 World Champion. Congratulations to Pol Espargaro.
Well, there he was on the podium at Motegi in Japan back in 2013. And Pol, I've not seen you or spoken to you for 10 years. Where on earth has the time gone?
Yeah, man, it's amazing. Yeah, it's been a while, and you just realize when you see the pictures and all this, it's saying, you see the face and say, wow, it's so young. Yeah. But anyway, it's been a good journey.
Yeah, nice to hear Nick Harris's voice there as well. Our good friend Nick Harris, of course, commentating in 2013. I put a video the other day on Instagram, which I know you saw, of us on the beach doing After the Flag for MotoGP in 2014. Where the hell has 10 years gone? Can you believe it?
It's amazing, man. For me, it's difficult because, remembering that times, and now I'm with 2 daughters and, fully married. And, after tomorrow, my daughter is gonna be with 4 years old. It's her birthday. So it's just everything going so fast. And now I see that I'm not racing anymore, like full time, like a kind of journalist, and everything changed massive. But, I'm at the end of the day, I think you need to be pleased with what you have done and who you are. And I'm very pleased.
Do you know, Pol, what I always loved about you and Aleix is that you were always so honest. You wear your heart on your sleeve, as we say in English, get very emotional, which sometimes is good and sometimes is bad. But I remember we had a chat. Remember we had a chat at a presentation in Barcelona and you were a bit worried. You were very honest. You were a bit worried and you said, I'm not sure about Aleix. She's going to start a family. It might slow him down. It actually seems like it made him even faster.
Yes. You know, Aleix, it's I'm passionate, but Aleix is even more than me. So in that moment, he was young. He was, like going around and up and down, and as you know, as I make a family, I was not like full 100% sure that it will work. But because we are traveling around the world during all the year, and it's very difficult, to have a family. And I'm living this now. So, but at that time, Alice was very young. But Alice been since the 18 years old saying to me that he want to be father.
Wow.
So it's just a life project. So at the end, it worked out very good for him.
So go on then, maybe you can give me some tips. What's the more difficult thing, getting married or having kids? I'm sure getting married is not difficult. I'm sure it's great, by the way, but it must change your life dramatically, the kids in particular.
Yeah, it changed so much. It changed the way, for sure, you to see the life, especially when you do a sport as I do, that you risk your life every time you jump on the bike. It changes the perspective of what you're doing and how you're doing the things, And before, it's the elite sport is super selfish. But when you are playing with your life, it's even more selfish because if you pass away, that it can happen. Okay, it's your life. But when you have a family, the other lives are suffering so much from it. So, when you jump on the bike, when you have a child, also you think a little bit about this, you cannot risk everything in every corner, or you need to be a little bit carefully. And at the end in MotoGP, just if you think that for just a tenth of a second, it's already something, But at the end, also, it have very good moments where, for example, you have a bad day or you had a very bad weekend. If you are alone, you just think about it and repeat to thinking about it. But when I arrive home after having a bad weekend, the family is there. So you forget about all the problems and you just move on. So, I mean, there is the two sides of this coin, where sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But at the end of the day, having a family, it's nice. It's very nice.
And do you think Aleix feels a bit strange now? The fact that he started in MotoGP before you did, and he's still there after you, and you're going to be working on Spanish TV, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You're probably going to be interviewing Aleix this year. I don't know whether that's going to be more weird for you or for him.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird, honestly. Still, I think I don't know what this is gonna feel because I never did it before, so it's something so new that I don't know what to expect. But yes, it's. I mean, I wanted to keep going to racing. For me, it's important to stay there because I love this sport. And if you cannot practice it, if you cannot do it, just stay close as possible. Because you are doing the same thing as me. So you need to do this sport, just racing or just in the other side, doing as a journalist or whatever, mechanic, whatever. You need to love this sport. So I really like it. So I try to think how to help my team in the best way, KTM, Red Bull KTM, and also how to be productive on the race weekend. So I said, okay, I had the proposal to do the TV, and I said, why not? It's something new. It's something that maybe it's not going to work because it's so difficult, but why not? I've been in my career changing teams and knowing new people, and just everything is super challenging. So this is going to be another challenge in my life. So I'm going to try to do it as better as possible.
Yeah, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because Carlos Perez, who obviously presents the show, is in Barcelona, and he'll have Jorge Lorenzo or Dani Pedrosa, the other special guests, with him. You're going to be at the circuit with Izaskun Ruiz. So one of the things you're going to have to get used to, I guess, Pol, is having somebody talking in your ear while you're listening at the same time and focusing on what you're doing, which is probably going to be walking up and down a busy pit lane with motorbikes coming. So that's going to be an interesting challenge you're going to have to get used to.
Yeah, for sure. But, I'm a little bit used to at home to have my babies talking to me while I'm talking to my wife. Yeah. But no, honestly, I mean, I wanted to be there. For me, I'm an action man. I mean, I really like the action.
I gotta say, you look like an action man on all these Instagram things. You keep posting these videos, looking in the mirror in the gym.
I didn't want to say that. Not in that way. No, I mean, I like the action. I like to be there. I like to explain what's really happening, and I love to hear the engine of the noise of the engine of the motorbikes. And I think in that last times the MotoGP has been changing a lot, and the bikes are super complicated by the aerodynamics, all the gadgets that the bike has to be faster, like the rear device, all the devices that the riders are applying in a normal lap or in a race. It's amazing. It's going super tricky to understand even for the riders. So for me to be there on the circuits and explain to the people that is at home looking the motorbikes and help them to understand a little bit what's going on, I think it's going to help maybe a little bit more to the sport to because I think you like a sport when you understand it fully. So if I can give some tips to the people why the things are happening, and I think this is crucial to be there on the circuit in front of the bike, better it's going to be. So I'm really happy to be there and trying to help the people as much as possible to understand this sport that sometimes is a bit tricky,
So are you definitely done now, Pol? Do you think that's it? You'll never go back to racing in MotoGP again? Have you decided the day has come to just focus on the family and the TV?
You never know. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. But at the moment, it's what I have. So I've been giving my 200% in everything I've been doing in my life. So that is one of them. It's one project that I'm going to give my full 100% to it as better as possible. Try to prepare myself for everything. But the future, you never know. I'm going to do some wheelcars this year. I'm going to keep racing. I'm going to do some testing. I did already in Malaysia. So I'm going to be, I'm training, as you said. So I'm going to be as active as possible. So if in the future, I don't know, something happen, I will be ready for sure. That's for sure.
Well, the great thing is now we can actually talk as fellow journalists, can't we? So let's talk about the season ahead. First of all, the speeds of the bikes, because it's something I've been saying a lot on this podcast in the last few weeks, and many other people, including Marc Marquez the other day in the Spanish press, I think it was. Don't we need to slow the bikes down now just a little bit to avoid accidents like the terrible accident you had? We should never have a situation, should we, where somebody can get caught between the barrier and a motorbike. So, if they're 2 or 3 seconds a lap slower, it doesn't really matter, does it, Pol? For watching from the grandstander on the TV, nobody's going to see the difference. And also, it might improve the racing anyway and make it easier to overtake.
Yeah, this is a dilemma that this MotoGP has, because the other day I was looking the Formula One in Bahrain, and the record is holding by Pedro de la Rosa, from so many years ago, because the cars were much faster.
Yeah.
And now it's much more spectacular than before. But, I know that Doha and the organization were trying to do that by the biofuel, trying to put some biofuel that is going to allow the bikes to be a little bit slower. But the problem is the technology is going so fast that the biofuel already is exactly the same than the current fuel we are using. So I believe, when you are saying that the bikes are going to be slower, you are putting a top on the technology. So you are saying to the manufacturers and to the technologies that in some areas you cannot work anymore. So don't work anymore on the engine, because you to take the extra horsepower to be instead of 360 k's, 66 k's per hour to 370 k's per hour. So you are putting on the top. You are saying to all the manufacturers, don't put more money on the engine development in that engine we are currently have now, because we do not allow you. And this is going against of MotoGP, which are prototypes of motorbikes that are developed to be the fastest in the world. So I believe it's a big of dilemma. So for me, what it would need to be is like going like a different kind of engine, or less horsepower, less RPM, but all of them, but at the end, what makes special MotoGP is that the bikes are reaching this crazy and huge speed at the end of the straight. It's very difficult where you put the performance and where you put the show, and everyone is super afraid of cutting the performance because maybe you cut the show. And this is what Dorna and organization doesn't want.
Yeah, it needs to be a balance, I guess, doesn't it? But Pol, I won't keep you for too long. We've only got 3 minutes left, and I'll keep to strict TV-like times. Maybe we can catch up again later in the year if you've got time, and we'll see how it's going. But yeah, I mean, I've got one challenge for you at the end, a bit of a TV challenge. But just before that, there's all these rumors about Dorna being sold maybe to Liberty Media or Netflix, Amazon, Disney. So that's one question. What are your feelings on that? And also, who do you think is actually going to be the strongest challenger for the championship this year? It looks from the outside, but I could be wrong, that you really wanted Ducati this year once again.
Yeah, I don't know about if Dorna is trying to sell MotoGP to someone. At the end of the day, whatever is going to happen, I think the organization of Dorna at the moment inside, leading by Carmelo Speleta and also Carlos, his son, it's well driven. I really enjoy talking, and we always said, we have the safety commission in MotoGP where all the riders are meeting every weekend, and we can explain and say whatever we want. We sometimes even discuss with Carmelo like, a proper discussion, and we are discussing directly with the boss of the championship. But this is so nice because sometimes we are able to change things that, are difficult to change if we would not be talking to the boss. So I think whatever is going to happen, this would be nice to keep, to be closer with the boss as the riders are now in MotoGP. This is really, really nice. And the next question you said, sorry, Ducatis. Yes. Yeah. Oh my God, Ducatis. Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal. It's very difficult, because when you think that, for example, with KTM, we have been working huge this preseason. We thought we did good steps. I think we did a big steps forward, but then you see the other manufacturers, Ducati and also Aprilia, the Italian ones, they are making huge steps in front. And when you think that you are closer, they just bring the new bike and the new, devices, technologies, and they move forward. So it's very difficult. Also, we need to count on this year, the riders they have, they are even better. They are a little bit older with more experience. Marquez have joined the club of Ducati. Both Marquez are in a very good level. Together with Bastianini last year, he has been injured pretty much all the year, and now it's fully fit. So if last year we've seen strong Ducatis and strong riders, this year I think it's going to be even worse on that.
In a word, can Marc Marquez win in Qatar this weekend? I think he can. What do you reckon?
If he can, yes, he can. If he will, I don't know if he will do, because I think it's a matter of time. He needs some time to understand the bike, but I believe he's going to be there. In Qatar, anyway, he's not the fastest. I've been racing with him in Qatar, and I beat him in Qatar with the Honda, so Qatar is not his best place to shine.
Yeah, actually, he's only had one MotoGP win there, and it was 2014,
exactly.
I remember. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not his best place for winning or fighting for the win. But this is the problem. If we see Marquez fighting there for the win, just be aware of what he can do on the future. Yeah.
So if he wins in Qatar, where he doesn't normally win in Qatar, then panic everybody else. Maybe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, Pol, it's been a pleasure. I've got one more challenge for you. As you may know already in TV, you have something called a PA, and that's somebody who's talking to you in your ear the whole time you're talking. So you're going to be trying to listen to yourself, listen to Izaskun, concentrate on what's actually happening in the race, making sure you don't get run over in the pit lane by a bike at the same time. And you're going to have somebody counting in your ear. So here's a test. I just want you to keep talking for a few seconds, and I'm going to count down to the MotoGP theme tune, and you need to stop where we get to 1, okay? So I'm going to say 15 seconds, 10 seconds, and then I'm going to go 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's just do a bit of a practice and see if you can finish your sentence at 1, okay? So here we go, ready for the weekend. So you keep talking about the season ahead. You've got 15 seconds. Go.
Yeah, so KTM, I think it's going to be in one of the top guys. I believe Pedro Acosta is going to be also leading the factory because it's a great guy and also it's young and super strong. So we are going to see a very good season, and we are going to enjoy it so much.
Not bad. It's quite difficult, isn't it?
It's not easy. My goodness.
I know, you really have to focus on what you're doing. It's quite an interesting thing to have one ear listening and another one focusing on what you're saying at the same time. It's difficult.
It's difficult, and also here we don't have the MotoGP's bah, 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 bah.
Yeah, that's
that is pretty annoying.
Yeah, all I would say is just I know it sounds really obvious and it sounds stupid, but just make sure you remember which way the traffic is coming from in the pit lane, because when you've got headphones on, you're sometimes focusing on what people are saying and you forget where you are. And all of a sudden there's a bike coming towards you.
I think I'm going to put this yellow jacket, you know, the first races.
Well, Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you. I love the way you said, "Oh my goodness, where'd you get all these English expressions from?" It's fantastic.
I don't know. I've been working so much with Italians and English people, so.
Yeah, it's great. I think, oh my goodness, in Spanish would be por amor de Dios, I'm guessing, is the closest.
Por la amor de Dios. Yeah. Oh, Dios míos.
Yeah, exactly. That's the closest translation. Okay, look, I'll let you get back to the family because I know we've gone over time a little bit. So, Pol, thanks very much. And I've got to say, I've missed you. It's been a pleasure talking to you again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. It's been a huge pleasure, mate.
Well, there we go, Pol Espargaro. I thought he did quite well, didn't he, there? It's so difficult. I can tell you get used to it, but you've got someone in your ear and sometimes you're given a 10-second count and then all of a sudden, just as you're wrapping up, they're told that, you know, they need to extend a break or something like that and you need to carry on talking. And it can happen the other way around as well. I've had this with James Tozen where we're just about to get into something and all of a sudden, stop talking, please, in 15 seconds. And you have to say, oh, well, actually, we'll come back to that afterwards. So looking forward to see how Pol gets on there. He's working with Ithasgun, who's an absolute pro. So it's going to be great. And I think he's going to be excellent, isn't he? I really do, because he's so current, as I said before. It's a little bit like when Jaime Alguersuari did some stuff for BBC Radio 5 Live in F1. And he just stopped racing in F1 at the end of the previous season. So I think Pol is going to be a really great addition. And what a nice guy as well. The fact he is so likeable and smiley and laughing all the time, I think the viewers are going to love that. Right, just a quick Greg's random thought, actually, before I sign off. I did something very unhealthy earlier on tonight, and I went to McDonald's because I was very busy. I had a lot of stuff to get done at home. Had to go to the supermarket, which I hadn't done earlier in the day. Had to go and check something at my mum and dad's house because they were away at the moment. So I rushed into McDonald's at about 7:30, 8 o'clock. And just a completely random thought here. I'm just wondering, does anyone else find that these screens, those selection screens where you can order the food, are too big? They're massive. It's about double the height of me. And it's almost overwhelming. You have to take a step or two back to actually see what's on the screen. So anyway, just wondered if anyone would like to get in touch on Greg Haynes TV on socials to let me know what you think. And don't forget, of course, you can also email us, talkingawaypodcast@gmail.com, and also comment underneath the episodes on Spotify or wherever you prefer to listen to the show. So that is it. We will be back next Thursday, which is the 14th of March, and we'll have World Superbike testing coming up at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That's Thursday and Friday of next week. And then there's an R3 World Cup test, which I'm going to attend on Saturday and Sunday, where you'll also have Brad Ray and Remy Gardner out there with the kids on Yamaha R3s, training them up and getting them ready for their season. So get ready then, stand by for drama, because MotoGP starts this weekend. Don't forget all of the live coverage on TNT Sports and on Discovery Plus in the UK. And as I say, we'll be back with the podcast next Thursday, which is the 14th of March. But for now, get ready. It's the 75th anniversary year of MotoGP. Where do you listen to your podcasts? At home or on the go? Subscribe now to Talking Away with Greg Haynes on your favourite platform. You'd be doing me a favour if you did.